Well, hello, Arizona. Thank you all. Thanks for coming out. I was so excited to see you. I ran here every bit as fast as I could. So give yourselves a round of applause for coming out on a beautiful day. Just 4 more days to 4 more years. It's great to be with all of you, and it's also always a privilege for me to be with a man who I consider one of the best governors in America, Governor Doug Ducey. With your great Senator Martha McSally. With Congressman Andy Biggs. Brandon Martin. And all of you have been with us every step of the way. It is great to be back in the Grand Canyon State. But I can tell looking out at all of you that you know we're all here for one reason and one reason only. And that is that Arizona and America need 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. And the road to victory goes right through Arizona. You know, we need the freedom-loving people of this great state to do just what you did in 2016. We need you to send a message to America that Arizona is Trump country. But thank you all for coming out. And I want to say it's great to be here with some very special people. A man who served 11 years in the Army Reserves. He deployed to Afghanistan, served with great distinction as an intelligence officer, kept our troops safe in the field. Now he's stepped forward, strong conservative convictions, and I believe he's going to be the next congressman from Southeast Arizona. Give it up for Brandon Martin, everybody. We got to get him there. What a great American. Brandon, thank you. Thanks for stepping up to serve your country again. It's also great to be here with a man who served in the Arizona legislature for 14 years. He was even president of the state Senate. I got to know him when he arrived on Capitol Hill. But I can tell you, having served with him in the Congress and also served alongside him as your vice president, he has emerged as one of the strongest allies of our president and this administration, and one of the most respected conservative voices in the Congress. Join me in thanking Congressman Andy Biggs. What a great American, and a leader of conservatives on the Hill. And finally, it's an honor for me to share the stage with another Arizona veteran. Made history as a fighter pilot. And you all may not know that my son is a fighter pilot stationed right here in Yuma, Arizona. In fact, my son-in-law is a Navy pilot currently deployed with the United States Navy. So we're a little partial to fighter pilots in the Pence family, to be quite honest with you. But she was the first female fighter pilot ever to fly in combat. The first woman to command a fighter squadron. She's a champion of our national defense, a champion of less taxes, less regulation, a growing economy, securing our border. And I couldn't be more proud to be here in the hometown of Senator Martha McSally. And right after you re-elect President Donald Trump for 4 more years, the President and I need you to send Senator Martha McSally back to the United States Senate. Isn't she great? You know, 4 years ago, a movement was born. A movement of everyday Americans from every walk of life. You believed we could be strong again. You believed we could be prosperous again. You said yes to President Donald Trump in 2016. And from where I'm standing, I know Arizona is going to say yes to 4 more years of President Donald Trump in 2020. And it's because of what we've done. It's what we all accomplished over the last 4 years. Think about where we started. 4 years ago, we inherited a military that had been hollowed out by devastating budget cuts. An economy that was struggling to break out of the slowest recovery since the Great Depression. Terrorism was on the rise around the world. And we witnessed a steady assault on our most cherished values. But in 3 short years, we rebuilt our military. We revived our economy. We secured our border, supported law enforcement, and stood for life, liberty, the Second Amendment, and the Constitution of the United States. And it's amazing when you think about the difference on the economy. When Joe Biden was vice president, they spent 8 years trying to tax and spend and bail and regulate us back to a growing economy, didn't they, Andy? It's true. I mean, Joe Biden, when he was vice president, presided over the slowest economic recovery in nearly 80 years. President Donald Trump, he created the greatest economy in American history, and we are doing it again. Did y'all see those new GDP numbers yesterday? I mean, the American economy grew by 33% during the last 3 months. It shattered any previous record by a lot. The great American comeback is on. And with 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House, we're going to bring this economy back bigger and better than ever before. You know, the president probably said, we love Arizona. Thank you for that. You know, the president probably said it best yesterday. He said the third quarter was best in the history of our country, not even close. And he said next year, one word. It's going to be fantastic. And you know, I think you all know this great American comeback is a testament. It's a testament to the character and the resilience and the strength of the American people. It's also a tribute to a president, to our allies in the House and the Senate, who advanced policies that created the greatest economy the world had ever seen. That's why it's so... I haven't got a word. It takes my breath away. It's just mind-boggling that in the middle of a global pandemic, Joe Biden wants to raise taxes by $4 trillion. He's got a $2 trillion version of the Green New Deal. And he wants to put a public option in Obamacare and threaten the private health insurance of 180 million Americans. President Donald Trump, we cut taxes across the board for working families and businesses. We rolled back more federal red tape than any administration in history. We fought for free and fair trade, unleashed American energy, and we made it clear that America will never be a socialist country. And in just 3 short years, businesses large and small created 7 million good-paying jobs, including 250,000 jobs right here in Arizona. Now, none of that would have been possible without our partners in Congress. But I also want to tell you, none of that would have been possible without having a man who brought his own business background into public life. Would you join me in thanking Governor Doug Ducey for doing a great job for a growing Arizona? You know, when Joe Biden was vice president, America actually lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs. Remember? I mean, out in the heartland, we always like to say, you know, we do two things well. We make things and we grow things, right? But we actually had a president 4 years ago who said, those manufacturing jobs are never coming back. Remember, he asked, you got it. He asked, what magic wand do you have? Well, we didn't need a magic wand. We just needed President Donald Trump in the White House. 500,000 manufacturing jobs in just 3 years, including 16,000 right here in the Grand Canyon State. Incredible. It's about taxes and regulation and bringing back our industry. But it's also been about international trade. You know, when Joe Biden was vice president, half of our international trade deficit was with communist China. It's true. We were losing $500 billion a year to China. And Joe Biden never lifted a finger to do anything about it. In fact, he said the rise of China was a positive development for America. Under President Donald Trump, we put China on notice. We imposed tariffs on China on what they sell into our country, and we're going to keep standing strong until they open their markets to what we make and what we grow. The era of economic surrender is over. And then closer to home, you know, here in Arizona, where trade with Mexico and Canada is so central to your economy and your jobs. You all remember NAFTA, right? I mean, for 25 years after NAFTA was signed into law, out in the heartland of the country, we literally saw about 60,000 factories close. Thousands of jobs moved south of the border. Now, Joe Biden and the Democrats, you might remember, they liked every election, they liked to complain about NAFTA. See how bad it was, remember? But Joe Biden never lifted a finger to do anything to fix what was wrong with NAFTA. But when the man who wrote The Art of the Deal got to the Oval Office, America got a better deal. NAFTA is gone, the USMCA is here, and it's a huge win for Arizona. It's true. But you know, I got to tell you something about Joe's running mate on that as well. I mean, Kamala Harris is actually rated as the most liberal member of the United States Senate. And let me, we had a little debate a couple weeks ago in Salt Lake City. Thank you. It was, but I brought up a couple things I don't think she really wanted me to bring up. Like one of them was, believe it or not, the USMCA is huge. The governor's nodding. He knows this is a huge, huge win for Arizona, and frankly for the Upper Midwest, for auto workers, everything, for agriculture, everything. But Kamala Harris was one of only 10 members of the Senate to vote against the USMCA. She said it didn't go far enough on climate change. I mean, Arizona, you deserve to know, Joe Biden's running mate put her radical environmental agenda ahead of Arizona jobs and ahead of American workers. And I'm telling you what, with President Donald Trump in the White House, when it comes to trading with nations around the world, we will always put American workers first. And the contrast just as clear on energy. You know, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris spent pretty much the last year saying that they were going to ban fracking and abolish fossil fuels, right? I mean, in the presidential debate the other night, and how great did President Trump do in that debate, am I right? Wasn't that great? It's a great night. Got to the end of the debate. I couldn't believe it. We get to the end of the debate, and Joe Biden says, yes, we need to transition from the oil industry. The president kind of looked at him and said, that's a big statement. And he said it. But, for the last couple of months, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have been running around saying that, no, they're not going to ban fracking. They're not going to abolish fossil fuels. Even though he's got that Green New Deal thing, he's got this plan to abolish fossil fuels by, 2035 or sometime. I remember when Joe Biden said in the debate, he said, show the tape. And we've been showing the tape. We've been showing it. How many times they got to say we're going to ban fracking, abolish it? Go look at it. It's just amazing. Now they're turning the American people what Groucho Marx used to say. Who are you going to believe, me or your own eyes? Right? The truth of the matter is, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to abolish fossil fuels if they make their way into the White House. But President Donald Trump, he has been a champion for American energy. We're now a net exporter of energy for the first time in 70 years. Under President Trump, we are energy independent in America. It's true. Men and women of Arizona, we have a choice to make. On this economy, it's really a choice between a Trump boom and a Biden depression. A recent study just came out, nonpartisan thing, that said Joe Biden's economic agenda would cost 5 million American jobs. And the average income of the average American family would drop by about $6,500 a year. Those are real numbers. So, after you leave here, every day over the next 4 days, if you run across a family member, a neighbor, a coworker, a friend that hasn't made a decision yet, I got one question I want you to ask them. If nothing else, you ought to just say, look, I ran into Mike at the airport. And he ran just as fast as he could to get to the station. And he said there was one question. One question. Look him right in the eye and say, no, really. He said everything. Just say, who do you really think can bring this economy all the way back? Okay? Right at a time America is beginning to stand back up after the most challenging year in my lifetime. Americans are getting back on our feet. We're going back to work. You need to ask them, who do you really think can bring this economy all the way back? A career politician who spent 47 years raising taxes, stifling our economy under an avalanche of regulation, waving a white flag of economic surrender on trade, or a proven job creator who's leading the fastest economic recovery in American history? To bring America back, we need 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. I'm serious. You just got to ask him that question. Just say, just give me, just A or B. Tell me who. Well, we all know that while security and prosperity is extremely important, that the security of our families and our nation is the first order of business for the federal government. And from early on, I'm proud to report President Trump has put the defense, security, and the safety of America first. And it all starts with our national defense. After years of deep budget cuts in our national defense that impacted our readiness, the ability of our troops here and around the world to defend our nation, And Democrats in Washington, D.C. were already talking yesterday in the news about how they're going to bring deep budget cuts to our national defense to pay for their big government programs if they win. But under President Trump, we signed the largest investment in our national defense since the days of Ronald Reagan. And we're finally giving our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guard the resources and the support that they deserve to defend this nation. We're doing it. And it's not just about those that are serving, but it's about those of you who did serve. You know, when Joe Biden was vice president, we saw years of scandal at the VA that shocked the conscience of the nation. And some of the worst abuses happened right here in Arizona. You remember it. But under President Donald Trump, we signed the most sweeping reforms of the VA in 50 years. We fired 3,000 VA employees that weren't giving our veterans the care that they earned, and Veterans Choice is now available for every veteran in America. For all we've done to support our troops and support our veterans, it's just one more reason why we need 4 more years of President Donald Trump, and why we need a combat veteran back on the Senate Armed Services Committee from Arizona. We need Martha McSally back in the United States Senate. And this president's been about law and order and the rule of law. And President Donald Trump has stood every day with the men and women who serve on the thin blue line of law enforcement, and we always will. And that includes the courageous men and women of Customs and Border Protection and ICE. You know, where Joe Biden wants open borders, taxpayer-funded health care for illegal immigrants, where Joe Biden wants to end police cooperation with ICE and suspend the Remain in Mexico program that has literally transformed our southern border. President Donald Trump has stood strong for the great men and women of Customs and Border Protection and ICE, and we couldn't be more honored that the National Border Patrol Council endorsed President Donald Trump for 4 more years in the White House. And would you just by way of showing your appreciation to them and their presence here today, the President and the Vice President of the National Border Patrol Council, Brandon Judd and Art Del Suerto, are here. Give them a big round of applause for all that they do for this country. Thank you. You know, with their courageous work and your President's support, apprehensions for illegal immigration dropped by 70% this year. In our first 3 years, ICE has deported over 16,000 gang members and arrested over 2,000 members of MS-13. With this president and these courageous Americans, we are keeping Arizona and America's families safe. And this president has made record investments in border security. And I just heard 2 days ago, Joe Biden has actually said he wants to stop building the wall. But under President Trump, we've already built nearly 400 miles of that wall on our southern border, including 200 miles right here in Arizona. And with 4 more years, we're going to build it all. We're going to keep building that wall. We're going to keep supporting these heroes. And we're going to fix this broken immigration system once and for all. I promise you. You know, all my heroes wear uniforms. In my family and across this country. And you all know, just like those we just acknowledged, men and women who put on the uniform of law enforcement every day are some of the best people in this country. And they deserve the respect of every American every day. Now, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have a different view. They think America is systemically racist. And they think police officers in this country have a, quote, implicit bias against minorities. When asked if he'd support cutting funding to law enforcement, Joe Biden said yes, absolutely. And Kamala Harris recently praised the mayor of Los Angeles for cutting $150 million out of the LAPD. Well, let me make you a promise. With 4 more years of President Trump in the White House, we're not going to defund the police. Not now, not ever. We're going to back the blue, and we're going to back the blue for 4 more years. And we're going to have law and order in every city, in every state in this nation, for every American of every race and creed and color. So help us God. So it's been about standing with those who uphold the law. But it's also been about strengthening the foundations of the rule of law. As I stand here today, I'm proud to report, with the strong support of Senator Martha McSally, President Trump has seen more than 220 conservatives appointed to our federal courts, and they are all men and women who will uphold all the God-given liberties enshrined in our Constitution, like the freedom of religion, the freedom of speech, and the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. And that includes Justice Neil Gorsuch, Justice Brett Kavanaugh, and Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Isn't she great? And I don't mean, not just because she's from Indiana. I'll tell you what an extraordinary jurist, what a brilliant intellect. And how much did you love it in that hearing when they asked her to hold up the pad of paper and show all of her notes? How great was that? Wow. It's incredible. Because, appointing these conservatives to our courts it's about having a vanguard for our liberties. I mean, we live in a country where we have believed since our founding that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. And an independent judiciary. And appointing men and women to our courts at every level that will not legislate from the bench but will uphold our liberties is central to preserving them. Here in Arizona, you all deserve to know that when Joe Biden was vice president, the freedom of religion of Americans in this country was under attack. We saw the last administration compromise the conscience rights of doctors and nurses and religious charities. They even hauled a group of nuns who took a vow of poverty into court to force them to compromise their faith to live under the mandates of Obamacare. And when Judge Barrett was being considered for the Court of Appeals 2 years ago, you saw that Democrat intolerance to faith come out loud and clear. Do you remember? The leading Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee said she was concerned because Amy Coney Barrett's Catholic faith was so sincerely held. She said, and I quote, "The dogma lives loudly within you." And Hollywood liberals were quick to attack Judge Barrett, and have been attacking her ever since. Well, that guy and me have a message for the Democrats in Washington and their friends in Hollywood. That dogma lives loudly in me. That dogma lives loudly in you. And the right to live and work and worship according to the dictates of our faith lives loudly in the Constitution of the United States of America. It's true. Under President Donald Trump, I'm proud to report that you have a champion of every American of every faith. We repealed the Johnson Amendment to free up the pulpits in every place of worship in America. We restored the conscience rights of doctors and nurses and charities. And President Donald Trump ended the assault on the little sisters of the poor, and the Supreme Court made it permanent. And when we talk about our most cherished values, I will tell you, I couldn't be more proud to serve alongside a president who stands without apology for the sanctity of human life. So think of all the progress that we've made over the last 3 years. We revived our economy. We rebuilt our military. We were there for our veterans, for law and order, for liberties and life. And let me say, none of that would have been possible without the strong and consistent support of Arizona's Republicans in the Congress. It's true. So right after you reelect President Donald Trump for 4 more years, right after you reelect Senator Martha McSally to the Senate, we need Arizona to send Congressman Andy Biggs and Brandon Martin to a new Republican majority that retires Nancy Pelosi once and for all. It's got to go. Out. I mean, when you look at what we were able to accomplish when we had a Republican House and a Republican Senate, just in 2 short years, I think there's only one way you can describe it. We made America great again. And then 2020 arrived, and the coronavirus struck from China on our shores. But before the first case of community spread anywhere in this country, President Trump did what no American president had ever done. He suspended all travel from China, the second largest economy in the world. President Trump put the health of America first. Now, Joe Biden said that was xenophobic, essentially suggested it was racist. He said that closing off travel from any country in a global pandemic would, quote, make things worse. But Joe Biden got it wrong. President Donald Trump got it right. And I'm here to tell you, as the head of the White House Coronavirus Task Force these last 8 months, President Trump's actions shutting down travel from China saved untold American lives because it bought us time to stand up the greatest national mobilization since World War II. We reinvented testing. We saw to the manufacture and distribution of billions of medical supplies. First, we dealt with the outbreak in the Pacific Northwest, then New Jersey, New York, Louisiana, then across the Sun Belt this summer. And I couldn't be more proud that in the United States of America, no one who required a ventilator was ever denied a ventilator. No one who required an ICU bed has ever been denied an ICU bed. The American people responded. And our great research companies have been developing therapeutics that are saving lives to this day. And we are literally a short time away, under Operation Warp Speed, from having the first safe coronavirus vaccine in the world with tens of millions of doses for the American people. I promise you, till that day comes, that we have that vaccine and we put this pandemic in the past. We're going to continue to move heaven and earth to make sure your governor and every state, every doctor and nurse has the resources they need to give anyone impacted by the coronavirus the level of care that we'd want one of our loved ones to have. We're going to keep protecting the vulnerable. We're going to keep saving lives. We're going to keep developing life-saving medicines. And under President Donald Trump, we are opening up America again. It's amazing to think in just the last 5 months, we've already seen 11.5 million Americans go back to work, including 170,000 people right here in Arizona. I mean, with the great leadership of Governor Ducey, you've cut the unemployment rate in Arizona in half. Arizona and America are coming back. But you all deserve to know, Joe Biden's talking about shutting down our economy again. It's true. And yesterday, newspapers around the country reported that countries in Europe are already starting to lock down. So you can bet Joe Biden will shut down the American economy if he ever makes it to the White House. He actually said on ABC back in August, he said, I'd shut it down. I mean, your schools would be closed. Your place of worship would be closed. Main Street would be shuttered again. Joe Biden says we're in for a long, dark winter. But under President Donald Trump, we're going to distribute the vaccine. We're going to defeat the virus, and the best is yet to come. So men and women, I'll tell you, I'm so glad you came out today because I think you know. We've gone through a time of testing this last year, but we're coming to a time for choosing. The choice in this election has never been clearer. Stakes have never been higher. When you look at their agenda of higher taxes, open borders, socialized medicine, the Green New Deal, defunding the police, abortion on demand, it's clear. Joe Biden would be nothing more than a Trojan horse for the radical left. I mean, they're already talking about cabinet appointments. Maybe you read about that. I'm hearing that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are looking to be on the cabinet and drive America's policies to the left. Now, Joe Biden says that democracy is on the ballot. Well, I think our economic recovery is on the ballot. I think law and order are on the ballot. But I also want to say that I think there's things much more foundational to our country that are on the ballot as well. In this election, I think it's not going to be so much whether we end up more Republican or more Democrat, more liberal or more conservative, more red or more blue. I think the choice in this election is whether America remains America. It's whether we're going to chart a course based on our heritage of faith and family and freedom and patriotism and all the God-given rights enshrined in our Constitution. Or whether we're going to let Joe Biden and the Democratic Party surrender to the radical left, shut down our economy, topple our heritage of freedom, traditional values, and lead America inexorably on a path to socialism and national decline. So men and women, for our prosperity and for a land of boundless opportunity for our children and grandchildren, for all the ideals that have always made this country great, and for the freedom that our heroes through the generations won for us. We need to decide right here and right now that Joe Biden will never be President of the United States. We're going to re-elect President Donald Trump for 4 more years. It's that important. It's that important. You know, I got to tell you, when I got the phone call to join this ticket 4 years ago, I really didn't know the president that well. But I joined up with him in a heartbeat because I saw he had the vision and he had the leadership qualities to bring our country back. Now, some people think we're a little bit different. But honestly, we've become very close friends. We really have. I've served with him every day. The senator and the congressman know that when we're both at the White House, we'll spend 3-4 hours a day together. And when we're on the road like we are right now, you know, we talk early on the phone or talk late or check in through the day. And I can tell you firsthand, having been there when the bright lights are off, when the cameras are off, against unrelenting resistance and opposition from the Democratic Party, against unfair and constant attacks by their allies in the national media. There has never been a day that I didn't see our president get up and fight to keep the promises that he made to the people of Arizona. Now it's our turn to fight for him. It's on, Tucson. I need you to bring it. I need you to fight for our president. Let freedom ring. Deliver a great victory all across Arizona and all across America. A couple things I want to ask you to do before I take off. First and foremost, I need you to vote, Arizona. Vote to re-elect President Donald Trump to the White House. I heard this is actually the last day for early voting. Karen and I voted early in Indianapolis the other day. The president cast his ballot. So right after we get done here, if you haven't voted already, I want you to go vote. And if you don't know where, you can go down to the county recorder's office, 240 North Stone Avenue. They are open till 5. And remember, friends don't let friends vote alone. Bring a family member, bring a neighbor, bring a coworker, and vote to re-elect President Donald Trump to the White House. First things first. Secondly, after you vote with a friend, I want you to take the next 4 days and tell somebody why you came out. Why you came out today. We love you. I want to tell you, President and I were on 60 Minutes the other day. Right. So, but he had an answer to a question that actually is one of my favorite things that he's ever said. Because it was, it was what we call not a friendly interview. Right? But the reporter says to him, with a tone, it kind of says, how would you describe your supporters? Right? And you remember his answer? He said, they are people who love our country. So go tell your neighbors and friends that you love our country, that we have a president who loves our country, and we need 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. And finally, as I've traveled around this country the last 4 years as your vice president, which is the greatest privilege of my life, I'm convinced of two things. I'm really convinced of two things about our nation, more than ever before. For all I've seen across this country, I know that America is a freedom-loving nation. And America is a nation of faith. And so finally, if you're of a mind to bow the head and bend the knee from time to time, I'd encourage you to do that too over the next 4 days. Go to that wellspring of strength that has seen our nation through every day since those pilgrims first arrived on our shores and created a land of freedom. And when you pray, pray with the confidence that comes from those ancient words, that if His people who are called by His name will humble themselves and pray and turn, that He'll do like He's always done in the long and storied history of this great nation. He'll hear from heaven, and He'll heal this land. This one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So pray for America. Pray for all the American people. It'll make a difference. I promise you. And I just truly believe if all of us do all that we need to do, in 4 more days, it's going to be 4 more years. That we're going to have a great victory all across Arizona and all across America. And with Congressman Andy Biggs and Brandon Martin in a new Republican majority in the House. With Senator Martha McSally in a renewed Republican majority in the Senate. With President Donald Trump back in the White House for 4 more years. And with God's help, we will make America great again. Thank you all very much. God bless you. God bless America. Now let's go get it done, Arizona.